Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeart Radio Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe according to Big C, them good old boys down south. I want to say beautiful bienvenidos to all of our great listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in Paris, France, as well as London, England. And thank you so much, Canada. But Big C, there's no one I love more than them good old boys in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. How you doing on April the 3rd for March Madness, Big C?
I'm glad to be out of the South because I heard we had some thunderstorms and everything back home. But down here in Phoenix, you should see this glowing, raging tan that I've been able to lay on my body. I'm walking around here with all this free God, you know. It's as hot down here as the two teams in the tournament, Charlton, Gonzaga and North Carolina.
Yeah, I tell you, some of them good old boys from Gonzaga, they don't get a lot of sun, so I know they're enjoying the sun down in the desert, Big C. And we talked about so many things going on. We have opening day for Major League Baseball. Actually started yesterday for a lot of them good old boys, and today other teams are starting their opening day. Still no sighting of POTUS throwing out the first pitch, but he is going to be down golfing at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. I guess that's more important to him than the national pastime. And also, I don't know what's going over with Putin and all them good old boys, but I know there's a lot of things going on there. But South Carolina, the girls, they got it done. I'm glad the tournament moved their game to the weekend, Big C, as opposed to after the men's games. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that was a wonderful move by the NCAA and the women's side of college basketball. To not to have, this afterthought championship game after the men's championship game, after all that major excitement that rolled over, and an outstanding performance, and kudos to the SEC, Charlton.
Oh, yeah.
When you think about it, you had two SEC teams playing in the finals. Mississippi State, who had ended the 110-game win streak of UConn in overtime a couple nights ago, Charlton.
Yeah.
Went up against a formidable opponent of South Carolina. I guess really the real USC.
Yeah. No, the real USC is still the Trojans, baby. Don't get it twisted.
Okay. What USC had the most teams in the Final Four? We just go right there.
Okay, this year. Okay, I'll give it to the Moonshine Boys, Big C. You guys get it this year. I tell you also.
The game last night with the women, Charlton. Dawn Staley, probably one of the most decorated female basketball players of all time, who has become the head coach of USC South Carolina.
Yeah.
That, she has taken this program to all-time heights. So you got to realize, prior to her coming to coach at the University of South Carolina, they had 20 victories over a 4-year span.
Wow.
Just 20 victories. And you think about where she has taken this program to. She's basically taken it from its infancy to where it is now, winning their first national championship last night, Charlton. And Dawn, being a former player, former Olympian, she's seen it from both sides of the bracket, but she, was able to keep players there in South Carolina, especially the senator that they had on the team. She was the #1 recruit in the country, and able to keep her home to let her know what she was building there. And, it all culminated last night with this national championship, Charlton, but even more so, this was right after National Women's Month, just a few days after.
Yeah.
That Dawn Staley, an African-American woman, wins a national championship at the college level. Taking it to new heights. There's been so much bashing of African-American coaches not getting opportunities, that they can't lead programs, whether it's in college or even in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
That for some reason they've been overlooked. But hopefully this win by Dawn Staley will open new doors for other African-American women, Charlton, to get jobs at the university level, on the head coaching level, and even men, to show when you look, Charlton, the national championship is rained down over the years, especially on the men's side. We've had men's national championships. Nolan Richardson did it on both levels, at the junior college level and the NCAA level.
At Arkansas, yeah.
National championships.
Yeah.
And now that we have Dawn Staley, the first African-American woman to win a national championship as a head coach, just great pride for culture and women in general, Charlton. But, South Carolina, congratulations on a fantastic season.
Yeah, and Big C, I want to bring that up too, because on Big C Sports we keep it real, and everybody knows this is about the land of opportunity. And I know there's so many things going on in our world where you have POTUS telling people not to hire a black man and Colin Kaepernick for standing up for Black Lives Matter. And sometimes when you look at the African American women that make basketball what it is at the Division I level, and of course it's a mixture of all people, but when you look at the African American talent and to have a black woman as a head coach, probably the least likely to get a head coaching job in Division I. We know some of the things that went on in the state of South Carolina with the Confederate flag, but not everybody's a bigot. A lot of people are trying to make progress, but I want to get your thoughts on this, Big C. I know we're getting ready for the tip-off tonight for the Final Four with the men on the side of the ledger, but when it comes to women, oftentimes black women, historically, going back to Rosa Parks, they've been the ones that have opened doors and fought just as hard because, number one, they were the home keepers for the kids when the men were out doing their thing, and then when women got the right to march, they were always there in the background. I mean, when you look at Loretta Scott King, she did as much as Martin Luther King, but she held down the home front, Big C. So just to see another African American woman in a world where predominantly is Caucasian ran, I think is a message to everybody. Give people an opportunity, give people the chance to compete, and not only did she knock off Tyra Vanderveer at Stanford, like you just said, she crowned the championship trophy for the University of South Carolina. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charles, when you think about that state that has had so much divide throughout its history, and to be able to have an African-American coach at the major universities, you have them at the historical black colleges in South Carolina, but to have one coming to the major university there, because when we look at what that represents, it represents diversity and growth. And the growth, the ultimate growth, like I said, prior to her coming over the previous 4 seasons, 20 victories, Charles. 20 victories. This year, I believe they had 34 by winning the championship, 34, 36 victories. And so she eclipsed, by winning a national championship more than what the school had done in the previous 4 years prior to her being hired, even though she's been there a few years now. But to establish a program, Charles, to be able to get followers, and you be a leader. And, you think about this university as a whole, Charles, they led women's NCAA basketball in attendance.
Oh, really?
For the regular season. They were the number one attendance team for the season in women's basketball. So you think about what she's brought to the university. She's got an entire state community to buy into her program. This is the leadership and the respect and the character that Don Staley has brought to this program, Charles. People, want to talk so much negativity about the African American community. But she has brought all cultures together in that state, Charles. She's been a great ambassador for the state, not just a beautiful and respectful coach, but a great ambassador for the state. And that's what people really need to look at, is what Don Staley has done. Yes, she's brought a national championship to the state, but she's brought national recognition to the state, Charles, because she has broken barriers in many ways, not just being the first African-American female coach at the University of Charleston, not just being the first African-American coach to win a national championship, Charleston, but the first African-American coach to bring everybody together and lead a nation in attendance. You got to realize the attendance for the women's games, Charleston, caps the attendance for the men's games.
Oh, really?
They also made it to the Final Four, Charleston. So you think about what she's been able to accomplish in her short time there in South Carolina in less than 5 years, Charleston. It's just marvelous. This is what culture and lending is all about. When people talk about people coming together and, we got an ignorant president talking about making America great. He can do what Don Staley has done, Charles. As far as easing a cultural divide in one of the places in this country that we have the most, racial divide anywhere. He needs to bring her into his cabinet if he wants to find out what leadership is about. Don Staley represents the true leadership of what Americana is, Charles.
And think about it, they went 33-4, and her basketball program in the segregated South is more integrated than the White House. Now that's something to chew on. And speaking of chewing on something, this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. We know Big C, yours is the one with all that mud all on it. I mean, you probably flew down into Arizona from the South, Big C, but did they give you the rental car Escalade like the one Charles Barkley driving around in, Big C? Your thoughts?
I did Uber. I didn't go on to try to find a car.
Okay.
I've been
Yeah.
You know, just to get a little push, you know, throughout the city. Plus, think about the coin that you save on parking down here, man. It's around a parking space anywhere, but I tell you, the Tex-Mex food down here, you know, I really miss it down here being in the Southwest.
Oh, yeah.
I may look like Charles Barkley by the time I leave.
Yeah, you guys got the same hairdo, Big C, same hairstylist. I do want to ask you, though, is the moonshine different because it's in a drier heat? Did that moonshine give you the same kind of kick that you guys get down south with all that humidity, Big C? Or as you call it, humidity, Big C?
We make ours with corn back home, dog. We use this thing called a dog. We use this cactus plant out here, and they have this stuff called tequila, which ain't bad. Let me tell you something. I tried a few of those tequilas while I was there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's pretty nice. You know, there's a little steam going down. It's pretty nice.
I heard some good old boys told me one time they actually went down to Mexico to Tijuana, and they had some libations, and they gave you up here in the States, you know, in Northern California, a lot of people get a cup, maybe a 10-ounce cup of whatever they're drinking, Big C. Them good old boys told me down in Mexico the cups are like 25 ounces, Big C. Have you seen that stick across the border, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, they got some different type of drinks, Sharman. And, you know, everybody's drinking it. I prefer just a little small glass, you know.
Yeah.
Not one cube in there. That's how I like mine. I don't want to dilute it too much. Put one cube in just to knock a little bit of the heat off it, and it flows down quite nicely at that point. But, no, I've enjoyed myself down there. I've eaten too much, so, you know, I'm going to enjoy the game tonight. I'm going to be a little bit uncomfortable because I had to constantly eat. I mean, the smells and the aromas are
oh, yeah.
down here, but the people chopping down
yeah.
here are so nice.
Yeah.
You know, and when you look around at the multicultural diversity down here,
yeah.
this is what Donald Trump wants to eliminate. I've seen 50% Hispanic population.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's talking about he wants to eliminate that. But when you have to look at the financial impact that they have on this local area, Trump, and the infusion of money,
yeah.
the jobs, the businesses. I mean, the great food that I've been eating.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten any American food since I've been down here, Trump, but I've been eating the Mexican food, the Mexican.
Yeah, the culture.
That's what I've been enjoying. And when you look around, that's what everybody enjoys. When I'm in San Antonio, Trump,
yeah.
that's all I'm having down in San Antonio.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you talk about a guy who wants to eliminate part of a Mexican culture,
yeah.
Mexican culture is entrenched in America.
Yeah.
You can sit there and say you want to go after people. And let me give our listeners food for thought. He's talked about building a wall.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Donald Trump people or even him have done the research. You realize there are more illegal Asian Americans in America than there are Mexican Americans.
Wow. Wow.
There are more illegal Asian Americans because when you put all the countries in place,
yeah.
you put Thailand, you put Japan, you put Korea, you put China, you know, you put all these countries in the place. These people come over here on visas, and they live into their communities. We've all had Asian communities where we live, Charles.
Yeah.
You walk into these Asian communities, 50% of them are undocumented.
Yeah.
Undocumented. If they sit there and say they don't speak English, no one questions them about that.
Yeah.
They say, well, they're just speaking their cultural language. But they brought grandparents, they brought aunts and uncles over here on visas, and they have never left.
Yeah.
So when we got a president, we talk about being truly racist.
Yeah.
The most illegal immigrants in America are Asian Americans, Filipinos, all of them, Charles.
Yeah.
We brought all those cultures. I'm just moving them into one. But you take all the Asian cultures, we outnumber the last Americans that are here in this country illegally. But the president is not saying it. Why? Because of the dollar scenario and the allegedness that the Asians are smarter than anybody, Charles.
And it's also...
You can find Asians in universities, Charles, that
yeah.
are illegal.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
And no one says a thing about it.
I'm telling you, there's something about visas being down, too, for California universities, too. But just another thing to bring up, Big C, I was talking to a friend of mine, and, you know, California has made miracle marijuana legal now, okay, just like in Colorado, and it's going to hit all over the country because it's $1 billion industry, and that's why it's going to be all over the country pretty soon. But would you believe about 90%, maybe 90, more than 90% of the dispensaries, they are Caucasians. You know, they're white people that look like Donald Trump. And I don't care what color somebody is, but they're not being targeted as terrorists or drug dealers. And even though they have their medical card, they're all Caucasian that have these licenses to sell marijuana. Who are they selling it to? They're selling it to white kids. So maybe Donald Trump's building that wall in the wrong country, Big C. He's trying to keep the Mexicans out. They're not the ones getting the drug dispensaries, Big C. Your thoughts?
You think about all the selling marijuana
Yeah.
over the years. Once they make it legal, are they going to release these men? No, Charles, because they still get them for free.
Yeah.
They still keep them off the street. So, you think about that. If society is going to do something right, if the government is going to do something right, if you're going to legalize something, then you need to release the men that you're incarcerated for trafficking and selling and dispensing of that product that you've now made illegal, because it's no longer an illegal offense. So how can you hold them in prison any longer? If you make something legal, how can you keep incarcerating someone for something that's legal now?
Well, Big C, that's always something to talk about, and I'm glad you pointed out the culture down at the Final Four. I mean, there's a lot of people that fly all over the country, and when they're white, they go with impunity. Nobody's really checking on who they are, but I think there was a study, it was on CNN, and it talked about the homegrown terrorists. They're not Latin America. They're not black Americans. Those are Caucasians that are blowing up synagogues and other places too. And we know what happened with all the lynchings down south. And to see South Carolina rise above all that garbage, I just don't want to see America go back to that. But I do want to congratulate, as we get into sports, Maxine Waters and Elijah Cummings and a lot of people in the White House. They're calling for impeachment of this guy. That's why he's having his his stepson, or what does he call it, son-in-law? Whoever he is, go out and do all the dirty work. Even his daughter's going to be thrown under the bus too. And who knows about Spicer. But I want to get back onto a little bit of what's happening in the sports world. Patrick Ewing, one of the greatest players to ever play college basketball, out of Georgetown. Georgetown made him their head basketball coach today, Big C. Another African-American, and they did it for March Madness. Your thoughts on the great Patrick Ewing? I hope they're going to get more mops to wipe the sweat up on the sideline, Big C. Your thoughts?
When you think of the modern Georgetown program, there are two names that are synonymous with it. That's Big John Thompson,
Yeah.
and Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
You can't even bring Allison Iverson, Lonzo Mourning, even the Kembe Mutombo into the conversation. It's Patrick Ewing and Big John Thompson.
Yeah.
Those two people were instrumental in bringing the Georgetown program back to national prominence.
Yeah.
Now Patrick has toiled with several teams in the NBA as an assistant.
Yeah.
And the calls were just like coming for an African-American head coach.
Yeah.
And I hope that he can go to Georgetown and have success, Charles. I think by him having his experience as a player in the NBA for so long, a former All-Star, one of the all-time greats in the NBA, and being on the bench, that he can call on some people that he knows that have been in coaching, Charles, at the college level, who know how to recruit.
John Thompson.
Played with and played against.
Yeah.
Because when you think, he's one of the original dream teamers, Charlton, from the original Olympics.
Yeah.
When the NBA players were allowed to play. And now he's the third of those players who have taken a head coaching job.
Yeah.
Two have gone into management. That's Larry Bird and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Clyde Drexler got a job back at his alma mater, Houston. Didn't work out. Chris Mullin has been at St. John's, his alma mater. Hasn't done well there. But Patrick Ewing, going back into Georgetown, which was really a part of the original Big East, disbanded. Hopefully, everybody from the community and the alma mater, the alumni, and the staff there will get behind him and tutelage him. Give him 2 to 3 years to get his players in place.
Yeah.
To get his system in place for that. I think Patrick can be success because he can teach the big men how to play in the middle, something that's been lost in college basketball. And that's what John Thompson taught him.
Yeah.
How to play in the paint. John Thompson, backed up Bill Russell in Boston for 3 years. So he knew from the best how to play in the paint. And he was able to take his mentorship and tutelage Patrick Ewing when he was at Georgetown, make him one of the great players in college basketball. So hopefully this all works out. But there's another proud moment for another African-American. You had Don Staley win a national championship as an African-American coach. Now we got another African-American coach in the ranks at Georgetown. So.
And when you look at the starting lineup, there's mostly African-American. About 80% of the starting lineup are African-American. Last year's Final Four, all 20 starters were all African-American players. This year, in this final championship game, you might see about 80% African-American. And all that means is this. If you're good enough to be able to come to a university and help them make a few $1 million or $100 million for the athletic program, give people a chance to earn a job so they can work. You're not going to pay athletes yet. That's going to be coming. Is it a shame that we legalize marijuana before we can legalize paying athletes for making collectively over $1 billion for colleges and universities, primarily Caucasian ones, Big C. I want to get into a little bit of the Major League Baseball again. Really kind of offended that POTUS is not throwing out the first pitch in baseball, but he's golfing at Mar-a-Lago for like the 10th time since he's been inaugurated, Big C. The Cubs lose, even though they won the Big C World Series. They lost their first game. And then you look at San Francisco, Baumgartner, just a stud, 2 home runs down in the desert where you are, Big C. But then Arizona came back and won. What's up with that good old boy? Can he pitch or what, Big C?
He can pitch, Joe. Baumgartner is one of the more amazing athletes when you look at baseball.
Yeah.
He has a natural hitter swing. He's not up there trying to protect the plate or bail out. He's looking for somebody to throw him a ball. And yesterday, Jonathan, hitting 2 home runs in the first opening game of the season, tying a major league record for a pitcher hitting 2 home runs in the opening day game.
Yeah.
But he's just a beast, Jonathan. He's a huge man, 6'5", 6'6". And, this is a guy, the Giants might want to consider playing, periodically in the game, Jonathan, at first base.
Yeah.
Because of his athleticism and such a powerful bat that he possesses.
Yeah.
I think if they played him maybe the second day after pitching, Jonathan, in the infield,
yeah,
he may help the Giants account for another 8 to 10 victories during the regular season. So when you think about a team gaining 8 to 10 victories during the regular season, that's the difference between being in the playoffs and not in the playoffs, Jonathan.
Yeah, and then Daniel DeCalspo, he's the one who had the winning run in the 9th for the Diamondbacks. What a great day. They had the dome open in Arizona. Just a great place. Kind of dry, but you know what? It's a great place for the sports world. Everybody's abuzz down in Arizona. They've had the Final Four. They got Major League Baseball with the Giants and Diamondbacks. The Phoenix Suns are still trying to win games. Arizona State and Arizona, Arizona was in March Madness, Big C. So a lot of good things going on down in the desert Southwest. And when you look at tonight's game, going to be a great one. I look at point guards for Gonzaga, Nigel Williams-Gross. Probably, he's the West Coast Conference Player of the Year. Probably the best players for the Zags. When you look at his counterpart, you look at Joe Barry II. He's not North Carolina's best player. Justin Jackson is. But I look at the experience coming down the stretch. I don't know what it is about the moonshine, but you did tell me you had Gonzaga going to the championship game. I said, okay, I'm just going to go opposite of Big C. I picked UCLA, but you guys put something in the drink when they play Kentucky. I keep telling these Pac-12 teams, don't take that Southern hospitality for granted. Drink your own moonshine or your Gatorade. Don't go down there and get them good old boys. Give yourself a drink. But your thoughts on Gonzaga, Big C? Are you still going to run with them? Or are you going to help on the board with Michael Jordan now, Big C? Your thoughts?
Tonight's game is what you want to see in a championship game.
Yeah.
You got Pew, who is 0-6, I believe it is, against number 1 seed in the tournament.
Yeah.
You got Roy Williams, who is 5-8 against number 1 seed in the tournament. So something's got to give tonight.
Yeah.
But Gonzaga is coming into this game as a 2-point underdog.
Yeah.
By the book. And when you're a 2-point underdog, that means the game is even, Charles. So the thing about Gonzaga is that they have the size inside to play with Carolina. The difference in the game with Carolina and Oregon was made. The big center in the middle. They had 25 points and 14 rebounds.
Yeah.
Oregon didn't have an answer for him.
Yeah.
Gonzaga has an answer in the side. Their big man can keep him off the board.
Yeah.
So I like the perimeter play of Gonzaga, Charlton. They're very team-oriented. This is a team without superstars. This is a team of role players that all play a role. That's the difference with Gonzaga. And Few, he's at the point now, Charlton, that he has to win the championship. The last West Coast team, to win a championship was UNLV some 30 years ago. What did he do?
Yeah.
So the West Coast, the small college is well overdue, the representation. And it shows that the Gonzaga is a big-time program, Charlton, because they have a great sponsor in Nike, and Nike has allowed them the affordability to go out and recruit nationally. When you look at their roster, they have players from France, Australia on their team, not just the United States. So they have the ability, like everybody else now, to go out and attract players. They have a very sexy program on a small campus that has national recognition. They play the big boys, Charlton. So I don't see any intimidation by North Carolina tonight against Gonzaga. Charlton normally gets team in this situation, and one is awestruck.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's run the table number 1 all year long, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's the difference. They've been number 1. They haven't been one of those, 8, 9 seeds that left in and all of a sudden made it to the Final Four and the championship game. They've been a number 1 seed that has held that title all year long. And I don't see them willing to relinquish that tonight, Charlton.
Well, Big C, they definitely have a good team, and I want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. When you need insurance, reach out to Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network. We go through Ben and Mark. They've been around over 44 years, over 150 years combined experience. We cover you for the pro athletes, your colleges, also your high school athletes, and your mom and pop soccer teams. Tweet out to Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network at Yes Charlton on Twitter. I also want to say, Big C, some of the things going on in the NBA. Yesterday's scores, Boston maintains the top spot in the Eastern Conference with a 110-94 win over New York. Charlotte 113-101 over Oklahoma City. The Lakers 108-103 over Memphis. Dallas 109. Milwaukee 105. I'm covering Dallas and Sacramento tomorrow night in Sacramento at Golden One Center. San Antonio with a close win over Utah, 109-103. That's close by San Antonio standards. Chicago, them good old boys, 117-110 over New Orleans. Toronto, the Canadians from Canada, a 113-105 victory over Philadelphia. Brooklyn, them good old boys in Jay-Z country, 91-82 over the boys from the ATL. Atlanta, Denver 116, Miami 113. It was Cleveland and them good old boys from LeBron James, 135 to Indiana 130 and 2 overtimes. And Golden State beat down Washington 139-115. Big C, LeBron James having some words with his good old boy Thompson. I think it's a good thing. You know, in football, you guys fight all the time. I know you had a lot of fights. You had more fights in practice, Big C, than you had in the games. That's not a bad thing, though, Big C, is it? Your thoughts?
When you look at any professional team, even college team,
Yeah.
you have to exert some leadership at times. I mean, players will find an air of complacency.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're going through the tough times like Cleveland has been going through, the losing streak that they've been on, they just have to be consistent offensively.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at players sort of in a sacrificial way.
Yeah.
Is that you would put on a public display making people think that they're set within a program. And it's not, Charlton. It's just like, look, this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
And when you voice that in public, you know, you're not really, you know, trying to denigrate a teammate or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're trying to motivate a teammate, you know. And I think one of the things with Thompson is he's so much time on this streak of consecutive games that maybe his play has waned a little bit lately. And LeBron just wanted to say, why don't you sit down if you're not going to do the job?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, Charles.
Yeah, and you know what I also respect about LeBron? LeBron was man enough to apologize to him because of what happened in the public reception. You know, just contrast that to Westbrook and Durant. And Westbrook is just playing lights out. He'll be the MVP of the year. He'll get the Big C award this year for being the most focused. But they won't even talk to each other. But it's about ego and competition. But I respect LeBron even more for being the alpha male on that team, no doubt about it. But he also has the leadership to say, hey, that's on me. You know, he's trying to get in his player's face, but he also said, I wasn't trying to call you out in front of people because that's how the media read it. I have a lot more respect for that, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, again, Charlton, you know, to be apologetic, you know, and you do that in a private perspective.
Yeah.
Everything is not for the media to see.
Yeah.
When you think of the guys that we have in the media nowadays, Charlton, see so much me, my guys, they always try to create controversy. You think about, you spoke about Westbrook and Durant.
Yeah.
You know, that became like it was a ballroom brawl.
Right.
For the media.
Right.
I mean, players will say what they want, and trust me, I've had plenty of former teammates that I've gone against. And when you get on the field, yes, you're lambasting them verbally, you say things that, you know, talk about
Big C, I've seen you do that with the guys you go hunting with, and they got shotguns, so, you know, sometimes you're just bold. Go ahead.
So any man who's been in a competitive scenario knows that there's verbiage that goes on, and
yeah.
You know, there's something that if you don't have a kill switch, you can't show on.
Yeah.
That's just the competitive is. It's telling the guy that you like him and respect him all at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what happens in the world of sports. But we have so many new broadcasters on television that have never put on a jock.
Yeah.
They don't understand these things. So, but you also want to heighten your awareness of your opponent.
Yeah.
You want to get yourself psyched up, so you do these things.
Yeah.
And so when players go after each other and other players, you don't see them running up to each other throwing blows. They're not trying to fight.
No.
You know, they're jawing. It's a verbal mental game that goes on now because the athleticism of everyone is so equal. So don't sit there and build more into it than what it is. You know, you're a player in the media for an entire week.
Oh, yeah.
You know, these guys, but they're in the locker room together every day. They travel together. So there's no animosity between these two grown men. Okay, that's what you got to understand. These are grown men.
Yeah.
So when these so-called expert broadcasters are sitting there talking about these things, Charlton, understand the game of sports. Just don't broadcast.
Yeah.
Understand it.
And that's part of it. Big C, let me just get your thoughts. I know we brought it up, but you look at that good old boy and Russell Westbrook. Obviously, he's going to get the Big C award for being the most focused player, someone that's very driven. And here he gives another triple-double. I think that's 6 in a row, 40 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. He's close to getting on to Oscar Robertson's record. And I'm telling you, that was set back in 1961-62 season. Your thought on why he's so dominant, Big C?
Well, and you speak about Oscar Robertson, Charlton. The year that Oscar set that record, he didn't even win the MVP, okay?
Oh, really?
He averaged triple-double for the entire season and set the record at 41 for the season. 50% of the games he played, he had a triple-double and did not win the MVP because you had to look at the racial divide in the league at that time. Russell Westbrook is very deserving to win the MVP, Charlton. And people say the game has changed. It's not what it was with Oscar playing. Okay, if that's the case, then he's playing against a lot more superior athletes on a nightly basis, Charlton.
Yeah, and that's definitely,
the guys he's playing against are some of the best athletes to ever play in the game of the NBA. We see some of the greatest still alive in the game nowadays, Charlton. So what he does is carry the team. This team would be nothing without Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
We know they would just be the Philadelphia 76ers of the Midwest.
Yeah.
That's all they would be. They would be toiling in obscurity in Oklahoma City, probably with 15 to 20 victories.
Yeah.
And never get any national attention. He keeps the national attention on this team, and we know that in sports it's all about marketing and exposure.
Yeah.
Without him, think about where would the marketing and exposure be? The Toronto Raptors have a better record than Oklahoma City. You don't see them on television.
No, you don't.
The Celtics
have
a better record than Oklahoma City.
That's true.
You don't see them on television. The Los Angeles Clippers are about par with them, Charlton.
Yeah.
You don't see them on national television. And the San Antonio Spurs have a way better record than Oklahoma City. And get less media exposure.
Well, Big C, that's true.
Talk about the player and the valuableness of a player, not just to a team, but to a league and to a city. Russell Westbrook has that over everybody.
Yeah, he definitely does, Big C. In the final minute, Big C, of the broadcast, I know you want to get in for the tip-off and get that covered down there in the great stadium and down there in Phoenix, Arizona. Just want to run off some of the NHL. Tonight we have Toronto favored over Buffalo, Detroit's favorite over Ottawa, and Florida's favorite over Montreal. In the NBA, the lone game tonight, who in the world would schedule a home game for the Final Four, Big C? You have Minnesota, 1.5-point favorite over Portland. In the final minute, Big C, what are you looking forward to being the turning point in tonight's game down in the desert? And who will crown the national championship trophy, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, we got a lot of players that will neutralize each other, but I've talked about this entire tournament.
Yeah.
It's come down to the play of the point guard, Charlton. We've got Williams Goss, that has been a marvelous floor general for Gonzaga throughout the entire tournament. He turned his ankle a little bit in that semifinal game against, South Carolina.
Yeah.
But I think with the great medical treatment that you have nowadays, that he will come back and he will be fine. But it's the role players that you have for Gonzaga, the unselfishness on this team, Charlton, that you can take a player out and you can bring a player in and you don't miss a beat.
Yeah.
North Carolina has experience. Roy Williams has been a marvelous coach throughout his professional coaching career in Kansas as well as Carolina. He has a team that has come back. He has 3 solid seniors on the team. And both of these teams, Charlton, are starting 3 and 4 seniors.
Yeah.
This is something that's unheard of nowadays in national championship play because everybody wants to talk about the one and done.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at guys that are poised tonight, Charlton, that will come in here that will not be phased by this huge arena, Charlton. There's 70,000 plus people up in here. Now,
Yeah.
It looks like a backyard party.
Yeah, I know it does.
But the only thing about it, in my place, everybody wants on the street. They got to pay.
Hey, maybe it should be like the NCAA and start charging people to dip into this bucket, Big C, if you know what I mean, Big C. Final thoughts, Big C, in the last 30 seconds. Who gets your Big C award for the most focused baller tonight in tonight's game, Big C? Your thoughts?
What I I like Goss. The team is going to go as William Goss goes for Gonzaga. And as he's having his way and doing what he wants to do, he's going to be that dominant player, And this conference, Charlton, has not won a national championship since Bill Russell.
Wow.
This conference, the last time this conference, the West Coast Athletic Conference, won the national championship, it was behind Bill Russell at the University of San Francisco. Now, we think about a lot of the things that have occurred in this tournament. Oregon being in the Final Four for the first time since its inaugural championship, okay?
Yeah.
And now we have Gonzaga on the verge of winning a championship for the conference for the first time since Bill Russell's days at University of San Francisco. I love what Gonzaga has an opportunity to pull off tonight, Joe.
Well, Big C, that's a very good conclusion. I want to tell you these schools are separated by 2,567 miles, 5 championships, all of them on North Carolina's side. It's time to bring it back to the West Coast. I hope we have a super fantastic game. And as we always tell you, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And also Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe according to Big C and them good old boys down south. We want to tell you there's never any room for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, just call 911 because no woman should have to deal with that garbage all on her own. And as we always tell you on every program, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.